Joey's orders were to report to Camp Mills, an Army embarkation camp set up on Long Island's Hempstead Plains, by September 13th. There he and his fellow National Guardsmen from New York and elsewhere would prepare for deployment to Europe as the 42nd Rainbow Division of the American Expeditionary Force under Brigade Commander Douglas MacArthur. As with all National Guard regiments, Joey's fighting 69th was assigned a new series number, the 165th, though it retained its strong Irish character down to the shamrock upon its regimental coat of arms. The eve of that dreaded departure arrived all too soon. Holed up at the house, my aimless wandering brought me to the open door of Joey's empty bedroom. He dropped in at the armory earlier, and from there gone on to say his goodbyes. An Army-issued duffel bag, packed, set out on the foot of his bed. Beside it lay a pocket-sized copy of the Soldier's English-French dictionary. Soldier. My son was a soldier now. Try as I might, I still couldn't grasp that my gentle boy, with the soulful eyes and hesitant smile, would soon be exchanging gunfire and grenades and mustard gas with other boys and young men who'd happened to be born in the Rhineland. That small, brown-covered book brought a stone-sized lump to my throat. For one of the few times in my life, I found myself wishing I were a drinker, so I might dull the awful ache. Instead, I went below and made myself a cup of tea, then carried it to the front parlor to wait for my son. Joey returned not long after, wearing his uniform, olive drab wool breeches and tunic, canvas leggings, and wide-brimmed campaign hat, along with a manly confidence I hadn't seen on him before. At the same time, his newly shorn head had me thinking of the sheep we'd counted when he was small and had trouble sleeping. Putting on a smile, I set down my cup and saucer and beckoned him over. "You must be hungry. I'll warm something up, will I said, lapsing into the old pattern of speech I sometimes still do when worried. Smile tentative, he walked up. "Thanks, Ma, but I'm meeting a few of the fellows at McSorley's."
Yeah.
Yes. They're giving a free turkey dinner to any soldier shipping out. McSorley's, the East Village Ale House where Danny and Adam were to have toasted their coming home, remained a popular watering hole where patrons could count on complimentary platters of cheddar cheese, crackers, and sliced raw onion. The latter had sent many a wife and sweetheart shunning her man's embrace. I should know. McSorley's was a favorite haunt of Joe's. Only now our kissing days were behind us, and our son was headed off to war with his fellow doughboys for a celebratory send-off. It seemed only yesterday he'd been Blake's age, a little boy for whom soldiers were toys made of tin and battle but a game. I couldn't help it. I broke down. Tears pooled in my eyes, overflowing my lower lashes to course down my cheeks. "Geez, Ma, don't cry." He dropped to his knees at my feet and hugged my skirts as he had when he was little. Only now it was me who laid my head upon his shoulder, my tears soaking into the wool. He drew back, scouring my face with his big, earnest eyes. "I won't go. I'll stay home with you. We can play Trip Round the World and Old Maid and Topsy-Turvy like we did when Warren and me were kids." Dashing a hand across my eyes, I shook my head. "I won't have you wasting your last night in New York playing parlor games with your watering pot of a mum." I laid a hand atop either of his shoulders and held him at arm's length to savor the sight of him. "I want you to go to McSorley's and enjoy yourself with your mates." I almost added, "whilst you still can," but stalled myself before the words slipped out. "And mind you clean your plate, Mr. Finicky Faddle. Once you sail, turkey dinners will be all in the past." "No turkeys in Europe, that's right. Instead I'll be supping on poulet with the Frenchies." He shot me a wink, pleased with himself for remembering the French for chicken. My poor brave boy. He hadn't a clue as to what lay ahead. "Let's hope so," I murmured, doubtful. For from what I understood of trench rations, the meats came from a tin. "Now off with you before you're late." He released me and rose. "Well, if you're sure." I followed him to my feet. "I am. Only mind you don't drink too much. You have a long journey tomorrow. It won't do to start out with a sick stomach and a heavy head." "I'll stop at 2 ales, promise. McSorley serves them in pairs, you know." "I do," I said, thinking again of his father, who'd likely never stopped at 2 drinks at McSorley's or at any other establishment in his life. Halfway to the hallway, he turned back. "You're coming to the station with Moira and Pop to see me off, aren't you? Or if it's too much, of course I'm coming." I cut in, sure my heart would break. His expression eased. "Then we'll talk in the morning, at breakfast and in the cab over." I struggled on a smile. Yes, we will, my love. Yes, we'd talk in the morning of trivial things. If he had room in his duffel for a second muffler, whether he might expect upon landing in France. Speaking of anything more, anything of substance, we were past that now. With the swipe of a pen, Joe had sealed our son's fate. It fell to me to piece together a life in the aftermath. Thank you so much.